So I was playing Tears of the Kingdom a third time. It's probably going to be my last time playing Tears of the Kingdom, but I didn't want to just make a retrospective because I think that's been done so many different times, just as well as people give these takes on them, whether they love them or hate them. But it was the multiple takes that I watched before I did my third playthrough that got me to really think of the premise of this video, and that's why Tears of the Kingdom, whether you love it or hate it, is so important to the Zelda timeline. Not necessarily the in-game timeline, but its importance to Zelda history overall and how we perceive it as players. Now I know this is not a retrospective, but in order to prove my point, I have to give my opinions on this game, and this is just my honest opinions speaking from the heart. Was the game copy and paste? Kind of. There was all the same regional phenomenons in exactly the same spots as the Divine Beasts. If you saw the champions from Breath of the Wild, you're probably going to be able to predict the sages from Tears of the Kingdom. The depths and the sky were amazing additions to expanding the map, at least. It kind of showed that although they were very aware that they were using the same map, they wanted to find a way to make it different and more expansive, even though when you go to the depths, there's not a whole lot that really stands out from region to region. Even though there are heat areas, I didn't really see any cold areas down there, but it is filled with arenas of bosses that you could fight down in the depths once you've beaten them on the surface, along with loads of mini bosses that you can fight again and again right after every blood moon that drops the same reward, and those rewards are very salvageable. You can break apart the Zonai rock so you could put together more Zonai Tech energy on your battery pack. Definitely it's something that we've never seen before, but it's something that's rather repetitive in my opinion. Sure, the game gives you whole free range to take on each region as you please, but there's also a sense of difficulty to each region. Now, obviously, the water and fire areas, the Zoras and the Gorons, are different, and those are pretty subjective as far as difficulty goes, but one thing that I can know for certain is that the Rito Village area is definitely supposed to be the easiest, where the Gerudo area is supposed to be the most difficult. So, to the untrained player, they're probably going to have the illusion of freedom, but I think that there's a little bit of context in between the lines once you've played it enough times. I'm also a fan of the story. I think it made Ganondorf seem way more overpowered than he usually comes off across. When you play Breath of the Wild, you have a sense of mystery and dread. In Tears of the Kingdom, you get a full picture right in your face when you start off, but it's just dread, and you are facing a severely overpowered enemy with all the odds stacked against you, and it's a perfect opportunity to level up and for Link to grow. Do we really see a whole lot of that growth in the story? No, but I think the presence of Ganondorf is felt all around the area, even though Ganondorf's only at the end of the game. If you have fought the Gloom Hands and know what a threat that they can be, you know what I am talking about. And yes, although the final boss is a bit of copy and paste also from the final boss in Breath of the Wild, being how you have a primary battle and then a much easier gigantic monster to battle at the end. I still kind of felt like Ganondorf was probably the most well thought out boss battle that they've had, and it just kind of shows how they could take something that's been done time and time again throughout the Zelda games and kind of make it its own thing, even in the gameplay and in the story, which, by the way, side note, as I was fighting Ganondorf for like the 50th time, because I did place a save at the end of the game so I could face him again and again, I was always captivated by how, even with the game's mechanics and how he could break the hearts in your life meter, they managed to tie in the story of his overpoweredness with how overpowered he really is when you fight him. Because if you don't really know the game mechanics, he's going to be one of the hardest bosses you've ever faced. It's kind of like Demise in Skyward Sword. If you don't know the Skyward Strike, you're probably going to suffer a little bit, whereas if you don't know the Flurry Rush, especially if you're not good at doing two Flurry Rushes at the same time in the Ganondorf boss battle, he's gonna be a really hard person to fight. But although the Demon Dragon was very underwhelming, I still felt like it was a good final push to the conclusion of a story that I felt had a lot more heart and soul to it than Breath of the Wild did, especially when it was using a lot of the elements from Breath of the Wild that usually took that, expanded it, and made it better. Now yes, as someone who said that this isn't really a retrospective, I just gave you my full-on opinions of things that are subjective in the game, but I think that's the point I'm trying to go home with, is that you might look at all those opinions I just listed out at, and you might severely disagree with a lot of them. You might have seen a lot of bad in the story. You might have thought that the story was lacking. Personally, as someone who saw this game and was originally expecting it to say Breath of the Wild 2 instead of Tears of the Kingdom, it actually did pretty good for what I was expecting, and probably because I had low expectations and was expecting a copy and paste for what I got. I kind of was able to enjoy it a little bit more. But I think some people were expecting this game to totally reinvent the wheel, but if you understand as you get older, they can only do so much for a game. And you might completely disagree with that too and demand more and expect the next Zelda title to completely cater to your worldview. But video games are just an expansion of modern media, especially in an age thanks to social media where everyone thinks that their opinion is king and should be taken above everybody else's. Something as divisive as Tears of the Kingdom came in at exactly the right time of when it was supposed to. Meaning you're going to go on this website and you're going to find thousands of videos that retrospect or give their opinions loving, praising to the highest degree, or hating to the highest degree this story and the game and its mechanics. And I think when you go and critique this game, not only do you focus on what you like and don't like about the game, focus on how other gamers are going to perceive this game and understand that every work of art is going to be taken differently by every pair of eyes. To me, it just kind of seems like this game came into play at exactly the right point in human history, because we got so many people who want to argue about games when I feel like games should be celebrated. And it was the spectrum of different opinions that really made me appreciate the game the third time I played through it. And obviously they're moving forward with another 3D Zelda game soon that's going to be very different from Breath of the Wild. And I think after 2 games, it's probably a smart idea to put this rendition of Hyrule to rest, because I think the story has been told to the fullest degree. I think it's just good to take one last look at this game as I played it the third time and say maybe I might not play it a fourth time, or at least for a while, just because of how much content was kind of packed in on it. But I was taking in every bit of content, thinking about how someone would perceive it in a different type of way. There are going to be things about this game that I thought fit absolutely well, but someone's going to find a way to think that it brought the whole average of the game down somehow. And you want to know something? That's totally fine also. And I know I pride myself in trying to run a positive gaming channel that doesn't cause people to rile up in controversy, because the gaming community has so much in that, especially when it dips into things like voice actor drama, etc. I guess I'm still one of those OG gamers that just likes to take the art for what was made. I purchased it for the given price and I moved forward with it and just wanted to take in what they had to offer and showed what I liked and disliked, rather than acting like I could do better. But let's just say you're the opposite and you completely hate this game. You've got every right to under the book. I mean, you played the game, you purchased it, and if you're displeased with it, you know what? Okay, I understand. This is far from a perfect game. Especially, might I add, when I found all the shrines on the surface and looked at the light roots, I noticed that they were all basically placed in the exact same spot. It was like looking at a sheet of wax paper over a drawing and someone was tracing something. But it kind of just showed that there's a lot of goofy stuff in this game when you really want to look at it. Just like there's goofy stuff in every work of art if you want to twist it in a certain way. And sometimes a game, movie, songs, flaws are definitely out there. But I think not just video games, but art sometimes are entering a whole new medium, especially thanks to social media, where everyone tends to have a voice. We didn't really have a lot of this when video games were first coming out, and we relied on the news sources and the gaming magazines to tell the stories for us. But now we have more human responses just like this, where we could have our own independent thoughts that might not even be just retrospective, but just how people react to it. And I think we get a whole new understanding of the spectrum of different kind of consumers that take part in these things. But Tears of the Kingdom definitely was a big amplifier in this new culture of games and this differing of how you perceive different works of art, especially in the gaming realm, because again, I think more videos about this game are going to come out, and I'm going to be looking forward to watching every single one, because although I don't agree with their opinions, I think I like the right to express how much I appreciate different opinions. But I'm going to give the floor to the viewers. What did you like about this game? What didn't you like about this game? And if you want to go in the comment section, all I ask is that you guys keep it respectful and not narc on each other, because I know that there's a lot of like Reddit culture that makes its way into YouTube, and especially in the gaming community, where everyone has to kind of be the smartest dude in the room. But other than that, I'll see you guys on the next one, and peace out.